11 years, that's so wild. I feel like people underestimate what they can do in a year and they overestimate what they do in a day. So if you don't take the renovation into like projects and chunk it down, you're never gonna get through it. It took us probably about 5 years after the initial move-in to start working on the home. Initially, when we bought the house, I demoed this entire kitchen. There was a wall right here that was separating the kitchen from the living room, and I just felt like it kind of boxed everything in. Open concept is one of those, floor plans where you either love it or you hate it. And for me and my husband, at the time when we moved in, I loved open concept. It was just us. We were single. And this was a lot of space for just two single people who were living in like a studio apartment. The house is just under 2,000 square feet and the lot size is just under 7,000. I was coming from a 1-bedroom studio that was probably like 700 square feet. It was actually my mom's guest house. So this entire living room, I wanted it open, I wanted it spacious, and we used a chunk of the budget in the kitchen. The kitchen's floor plan just wasn't working for me. Feng Shui was such a huge reason of why I purchased this home. We did the initial walkthrough and I fell in love with the ceiling beams. Okay, so now vaulted ceilings, especially exposed beams in Feng Shui, are like a huge taboo. But you cannot tell that to a modern interior designer who lives for architectural detailing that just makes mid-century homes so appealing. I love the open floor plan. I fell in love with all of the natural light. There are so many windows in this home, and before we sought out this home, we must have looked at like 50 different homes, and I knew that I just wanted a place that was flooded with really beautiful interior light. It just gives you so much flexibility to play with color and play with patterns, and I'm a maximalist at heart. So the first thing that I did was, of course, demo the kitchen. We rebuilt the kitchen, and the structural plan of the kitchen had everything to do with Feng Shui. I needed the fire element, which is the stove, to be in the south position. I needed the water element, which is the sink, to be in the north position. So that's what I did. We've got water in the north, fire in the south. They're not directly in line with each other, or else those elements will cancel each other out. So they're kind of like split at a diagonal. I love that I have two different peninsulas. We're able to entertain in the living area, and then we also could entertain in the formal dining that's just right off of the kitchen. The kitchen to me was where we absolutely splurged. I splurged on exotic black granite countertops. It's black titanium, glossy white cabinets. So for me, it's a very timeless black and white high contrast aesthetic, because if I flooded the space with a lot of color and pattern, I knew that our white walls were going to be able to support whatever design decision I would come up with over the years. The ceiling, I have never done anything to it. Right now, it's just gypsum. If I had a little bit more money, I would clad it in wood, but right now I just gave it like a fresh coat of white paint, and it just made everything really come alive. White is so reflective that all of the colors in the space really bounced off of the walls. Now for the living room, and we used to have like a little dining nook here. The furniture plan evolved over the years. I had kids, we changed things around. We pushed everything against the walls just so that we can make room for the girls to learn how to walk and run. I think about it now in the 11 years that we grew here. It's like I have such fond memories, which is why it's really difficult for me to let this home go. I still love the open shelving in my kitchen. I know it's not for everyone, but I have to tell you, I only dust those shelves like once a year. For Lunar New Year, when I want like a completely fresh space. If you have, like for me, like a robot cleaner running daily, dust doesn't even get up there. The first shelf is where I had all of the plates, the dishware, the glassware, and that's like within eye level for me. It's easy for me to reach. And then the upper shelf is just, you know, styling. I'm leaving some of that styling here. My nephew is renting out this space with his roommate, so I'm happy to keep a lot of my finishes here because he really loved it. A huge priority when I moved into this space was optimizing the lighting. Now, I did not do that from the get-go. I made sure that all of my furniture was in place before I started diving into the lighting plan, which is the exact same thing that I'm doing in our new home now. So this chandelier that you've seen here, it's not original to the home. I added that. It's a West Elm piece and now it's discontinued. This home is such a beautiful starter home and I am so excited for the new tenants to love it as much as we do. There was a pony wall that was actually separating the office space, that's actually what they use this lounge for, and the dining room. Previously, there's a family of 4 who lived here and they just had like a dinky little dining table. I love to entertain, so one of the first things that we did was blow out this pony wall so that I could put like a really huge dining table that was enough for about 10 to 12 people. I love it because when you're sitting in the lounge, you can actually see all the way into the living room and vice versa. So even our media equipment, how I planned my lounge, and then where we put the buffet and the TV and the sideboard and all the mirrors really reflected an open concept type of entertaining lifestyle. So you really have to dig in and figure out like, how do you want to live? And then be able to create a space that supports that type of living.
You can access the backyard right off the lounge. Originally, there were sliding doors, which I demoed and replaced with French doors instead. I just wanted a more traditional look that opens completely into our small backyard. It's a little over 300 square feet, paved in concrete, so I wanted to create a outdoor sanctuary, somewhere where we can entertain, hang out, relax. We've hosted many parties out here and guests love how intimate it is. You know, you don't need a whole lot of space to create a total vibe.
Well, the hallway used to have a row of shelves here. It was like a closet space. And I felt like it was usable, but I wanted to create a little bit more storage in the guest room because it was really important for me to highlight an architectural feature. So I'm gonna take you in there and you'll see what I'm talking about. Before, they actually had like a sliding closet right here. And then I blew this out because I wanted to highlight a niche for my wedding dress. I know that sounds really wonky, but for me, it's all about architectural detailing that really celebrates who you are and tells your story. I was obsessed with my wedding dress. I have fond memories of it because the day that we got the keys to the house, my husband proposed to me with the keys to the house and like a ring, right? So I was just like, I was so obsessed. And I knew that I wanted to capture that memory because this room that turned into the girls' room, guest room, used to be my home office. I would sit right here next to the window. I have this beautiful view and all of this natural light streaming through. And then I also had a view of my wedding dress. This walk-in closet that you see here is what I use that hallway shelf for. So I closed up the shelf on the hallway side and I created a walk-in closet because I needed a closet for my coats and seasonal items. I know that sounds crazy, but I had a lot of coats. This room evolved from a home office to a guest room. Structurally, those are the only 2 things that I did. I kind of blew out this shelving. I also blew out this wall for my walk-in closet, but the paint color has evolved over the years. It used to be like this really beautiful dusty pink color, and then I did this kind of lime wash terracotta finish on it, which is what you see today. Okay, now coming in to the bathroom, I am still as obsessed with this bathroom as the day that I lovingly, painstakingly, hands, knees, crawling on the floor, hand stenciled the pattern that you see on the floor. This was all done right after I had my first daughter, Kamari, okay? I was living with these like really ugly, I mean, I put this on myself, okay? It used to be like a white color and then I painted it gray. I kept the black and white checkered tile, but over the years, it just wasn't my vibe. I love a black and white aesthetic. I love high contrast, but I knew that it was just a little bit too much visual pattern for me when I imagined this space to become like a gallery. And then over the years, I used all of the artwork that I had collected, and then over the course of like 2 weeks I went through shopping and I found the rest of the art pieces, and it's just so lovely. So this space structurally has not changed. Finishes wise, it had a complete transformation. This is also the first time that I dived into wall covering myself. Okay, so I usually have wallpaper installed professionally. You know, I've been designing for a very long time. You really have to understand your limitations and what you can and cannot do. I was like, can I really get on a 12-foot ladder to install the wall covering onto the vaulted ceilings? In this bathroom, I have 15 feet height ceilings at the highest. So I was able to do it. I actually had so much energy post first baby. I know it sounds crazy, but like I would nurse during the night, and then right after, you know, my baby fell asleep, I would come in here and work on this bathroom. It took me about 2 weeks to DIY this entire bathroom. I had the lights professionally changed. I actually added in this really huge chandelier because I was like, you know what? There's like really high ceilings here. I really want you to think about optimizing all of the architectural features that are inherent in the space and find a way to really highlight it. I chose a fixture that was really tall, it was really beautiful, it had like a lot of arches, a lot of like symmetry to it, and then I found sconce that kind of had that same vibe. And then now what you get is this really beautiful space. You know, guests walk into the guest bathroom and everyone says they're just awed and floored by the amount of light in here and all of the architectural details. When I walk the tenants in, they open the door, they're like, whoa. I want that for my new house, you know, every room to kind of have like this wow factor and an element of surprise. So I still love this bathroom. I feel like it's timeless. I'm gonna move you into the primary bedroom. This bedroom has evolved in so many ways. When we initially bought the house, here's another Feng Shui element feature that I was like just so meticulous about. I had moved this wall maybe just like 12 inches because the door to the bathroom, actually now that I think about it, I don't even think there was a door to the bathroom. I installed the door, I moved the wall just so that the foot of my bed didn't infringe on the pathway of the door. Okay, there was also like this really janky, like bulky closet system in the primary bathroom, and I blew that out because I eventually made a back room, like I converted an entire back room into my walk-in closet. So I didn't need a closet in the primary bedroom. My style was very, very glam when we bought this home 11 years ago. I knew that I wanted the space to feel very cavernous, really sexy, very high contrast. I painted the walls in like this chocolate brown, like espresso color. It's so beautiful, and I had a custom match to celebrate the armoire that, you know, my husband, then boyfriend, bought me when we were dating. It was one furniture piece that inspired the entire aesthetic of the bedroom. So I had this really beautiful like gilded gold headboard, the chocolate brown walls. And then I lived with that for a few years, and then we got pregnant, and I just thought, you know what? I felt like the brown was a little bit too dark for my new baby, which was like ridiculous because I ended up doing blackout shades for the entire bedroom and bathroom. But I just wanted like a fresh look. So I painted it all white. That was such a dumb move because after a while, white depressed me. Like it just made me so sad. It was so stark. It was so sterile. I put some portraits on the walls, but even then, it took me a while to get it to this sage green that you see now. And I'm obsessed. You know, green is such a huge theme in this home. I wanted it to feel like the outside coming in, very indoor-outdoor living, very Southern California vibe, and very mid-century because what's funny is that I opened the door to, you know, the furnace, and it's almost the exact same shade of green that they had painted 50 years ago. Some colors are just so classic. Let's talk about this bathroom, which is very sizable for a primary bathroom. But it had 2 closets here. I knocked that out, and once I knocked the closets out, I was able to move the door and the opening. A Feng Shui tip is that you should never have an open access from your primary bedroom to the bathroom. In the bathroom is where Qi goes to die, okay? So you want all of the positive energy to stay in the primary bedroom and not seep out all the negative energy from the bathroom. Water equals prosperity in Feng Shui. So there's a whole lot of water going on in your bathroom. You've got the shower, you've got the sink, and so when water flows down the drain, that means your money is going down the drain as well. Obviously, there's also a toilet here, so you want to be able to keep everything closed off, everything locked away, closed off from your primary bedroom. The bedroom is in my southeast, like wealth corner. So I was very strategic about how I mitigated all of that negativity. My inspiration for the design in this bathroom was the shower. Okay, that's an original shower. It's Emperador brown marble, which is absolutely stunning. I felt like I didn't want to get rid of that marble, but there was very hideous mosaic tiling that was on this feature wall as well as the flooring of the shower pan. And I demoed that. I demoed the tile flooring. I demoed all of the mosaic, and then I used that Emperador brown marble to inspire the pattern of the floors that you see. Now, that was also one of the things that I prioritized with my budget. It was like one of the first things that I did when I moved into the home. I knocked out the kitchen, and then I prioritized this floor because I knew that over the years, no matter what color I would refinish the walls, everything was going to coordinate with the flooring and the pattern that I had like lovingly designed. Now on the flip side, where my vanity is located, I had purchased these 2 really inexpensive IKEA cabinets. I painted it the same color as the walls. Well, the walls used to be white, so I left it white, and then over the years I painted it the same color of the wall, so it kind of just disappeared. I installed symmetrical wall sconces kind of to light my face, and I used a secretary desk. It was like a refurbished vintage secretary desk, and I'd use that as my vanity cabinet. I would come in here, and every morning I would just have this experience putting on my makeup, getting into my beautiful shower, and I really loved that feeling. I had also swapped out this vanity. So before, they had this kind of wood curved bowed vanity, and I moved that vanity into my husband's bathroom, which you'll see next. It's kind of in the back of the house. And I bought this vanity on Craigslist. It's like $300. It also came with a vessel sink, and I had swapped out the faucets over the years. I swapped out the toilet a few times. I used to have a Toto in here, and then I had a smart toilet. And then we had, oh gosh, I can't even really talk about this. It was so gross, but we had a cockroach infestation in my smart toilet. Like maybe a month after I received it. It was such a horrible, I mean, that's a story for later. But then I removed that toilet, and I put in a brand new toilet for the new tenants. So a lot of what you see here is fresh for the tenants, including all of the wall sconces and this new closet system that I just installed like 2 weeks ago. Let's move on to the back of the house.
The back of house is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom addition that you can only access through double doors from the living room and kitchen. It was already here when we purchased it. I replaced the floors, painted the walls, added custom window treatments, new lighting, air conditioning, but that was done over time through the years. These 2 rooms naturally became a his and hers type of walk-in closet, which I love.
When I first toured the home, I actually missed one entire room. Didn't even know it, and still put an offer in the house. Like, that's how much I was obsessed with this home. I learned from the neighbors that this used to be a halfway house, okay? I'm just like, what do you mean? They actually closed off this wall right here, and this room leads into the living room. So it's just a very beautiful kind of like open concept. And then I installed the doors myself. We blew this wall open, and I wanted to create access for my walk-in closet. I feel like a really huge reason of why my marriage is so successful is because my husband has his own bathroom. And his own closet. Like, I just cannot see through his mess every day. But the floor plan, it's really tricky if you have a larger family because this entire back of house is closed off, okay? So this was an addition to the home before we moved in, which also means that the plumbing is really janky. There's no air conditioning here. So I actually built this soffit. I added the recessed lights. I added air conditioning in here, but still the air conditioning doesn't filter all the way through the home. And it really made sense because my walk-in closet is through here. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time in there, so I didn't need it to be like completely cool and aerated. But we did install it for the new tenants, and now it just feels like a totally new house. I'm gonna take you back there. This is such like a really beautiful alcove. I installed drapery panels here just to get a little bit of privacy. I painted the walls to match the color of the drapery. I think that's a really good designer's tip. Like, this was just prefabricated curtain panels. I think I bought it from like Home Goods or something. And instead of painting first and finding drapery to match, like just look for pieces that you already have because paint could be custom matched to anything you like. We painted the bathroom here, but I didn't do much. Like, I had moved my vanity from my primary bedroom into this guest bathroom. So I didn't buy anything brand new. I left the wall sconces, I put a brand new mirror up, but everything that you see here is pretty original. And we didn't really touch this side of the house, save for paint. The architectural finishes are still very inherent here and so beautiful. The vaulted ceilings go all the way up to 14, 15 feet, and then you'll see that through my closet as well. This space is so pretty. It gets flooded with so much natural light. I didn't do anything structural in here. I only installed this closet system and I did it myself. This is actually like a DIY closet system. I think I purchased it from Home Depot, and then over the years when I had the air conditioning added, we added the soffit to run all the ductwork in. But this used to be my dressing room. There wasn't even a bed in here until years later when I decided that I wanted every single room to become a makeshift guest room. I mean, look at the ceilings, you guys. How can you not fall in love with this space? I told my nephew that I was gonna give him a fresh coat of paint. I actually wanted to surprise him. And he asked me to pick like a really beautiful green color. And I chose this color, Oregano Spice by Bear, because I wanted it to match with all of the existing finishes, the drapery that I already had on the walls. And he actually kind of sent me like a mood board of what he wanted the space to look like. And it was very cavernous, it was really vibey. And I feel like this color against all the white trim just really pops. It's a beautiful space made even more interesting by the vaulted ceilings. I had installed this Empire chandelier. I found it on Craigslist for like $300 in Beverly Hills. They were getting rid of it from an estate sale. And at that time, my husband was working in Beverly Hills. I sent him down there. He picked it up, brought it home. And I was like, yes, honey. This, along with like my really huge 11-foot mirror, had a very like French Regency, like glam style, which I still love, but I can't really use in the new house because the ceilings are lower. You know, I always want you to think about that. Think about, how do I highlight the architectural detailing, the finishes? How do I optimize the height, the width, the size of the room, and what colors can I add to it that will really help set a mood and make it feel like it's more of my own personal space? Oh my gosh, this is so wild, honey. Like, the tenants come in 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's like, I think about this home and I think about everything that we've done to this space.
Do you remember that garage project? That was such a huge undertaking. We have a 2-car garage that I wanted to convert into my home office because after having the girls, they needed their own room, they needed their own space. So we cleared everything out of the garage, probably like 6 years worth of hoarding, so much furniture. Painted the walls, got new furniture, installed new lighting, and it just became like an ultimate haven for me. Not only was it a place for me to relax and escape, I also used it to film new videos, and I feel like that was what really catapulted the channel into what you see today. This is one of the last projects that I completed for our home. It was one of those things that I wish I had just done so much earlier.
The outdoor space is still like one of those things, like the courtyard just really makes this home sing, you know? So we did it.
You did it. 10 years.
11.
11 years.
Okay, I'm gonna set you off. I'm gonna finish this video, but you know, the courtyard is like one of those spaces that it had a janky little gate, but I saw the potential. I saw what it could be, private and closed. We added the turf after Kamari was born, and it was like one of the best decisions I have ever made. The turf still looks absolutely fantastic. There's a dirt patch on one side. We added rocks over the years. All of the garden that you see now was just not here. It takes time. You gotta nurture your home. You have to nurture the space. Okay, the tenants just arrived. They're out here right now. I have to close off and sign off on this video, but I wanted to share what our 11-year journey was like and all of the things that I DIY'd, all of the things that I professionally budgeted for, and I am so happy to kind of hand this off to the next tenants. I know they're gonna love it as much as we do. So I just want you to remember that design is not a race to the finish. Take your time, start with a feeling, allow your aesthetic to evolve just as much as your lifestyle does, and you'll see over the years, as you pour your heart into it, you will see how much it gives you back in return. I cannot wait to take you guys along the journey of how I design, DIY, renovate our new house. So thank you so much for being with me all these years in this home. It's been a journey. I want to cry, but I thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions on any of the finishes that I've done in this home, anything that you've seen, maybe some furniture pieces, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week.